Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Guitar Underground. I'm your host, Neil Santos, and I am not AI, I'm a real person. Look at I don't know why I said that. Maybe I saw a Rhett Scholl video today talking about how his channel has been copied by AI, by this other creator. And he already has 5,000 followers. I've been doing this a long time and I don't. But I am real AI. No, wait, hold on. No, I'm not real AI. I'm a real person. And I'm here for you. We're going to talk about guitar today. Have you ever noticed that there's some players that you can recognize after hearing just one note, right? Not a fast lick, not a crazy scale run, not even like a famous familiar song. Just one note. That's because great players don't just play notes. They give those notes a voice, right? And the biggest part of that voice, it isn't speed. It's vibrato. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Many intermediate guitar players spend years chasing new scales and modes and licks while completely overlooking the one technique that actually makes the listeners feel something. You don't need more notes. You need better notes. You know? Imagine someone reading a sentence with zero emotion versus someone telling the same exact sentence with passion and excitement. The words didn't change, but the delivery did, and it made a world of difference. And vibrato is emotional delivery for your guitar. So today we're going to talk about why vibrato is the DNA of your musical signature. And you're going to learn why it's far more important than most players realize, the biggest mistake intermediate players make, how great vibrato creates confidence without playing faster, and 5 practical ways you can start improving your vibrato this week. All right? Before we jump in, though, if you're enjoying these conversations about becoming a more confident, expressive guitar player, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Guitar Underground. All right? All right, let's get into it. So fact number 1, vibrato fact number 1. People remember expression more than notes, right? Like this reminds me of the Maya Angelou quote, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically she said, you don't remember what people do or say, but you do remember how people made you feel. And that's important. You think back to your favorite relative, maybe that passed away, and you remember some stuff they did, but most of you remember how they made you feel when you were with them, you know, especially if they made you feel good. So yeah, vibratos give notes personality. It's often what makes a simple phrase unforgettable. So you can play a solo correctly, but when you compare yourself to your favorite guitar player, yours feels flat, right? The issue isn't that you played the wrong notes, it's that you haven't developed how to finish the notes, and that's where vibrato really comes in. It's not at the beginning of the note so much as the tail end. You hit the note, and as it's ringing, that's when vibrato comes in. In case you don't know what vibrato is, I'm going to demonstrate it in just a sec. It's when every note carries more emotion, and you don't feel pressure to constantly fill space with more notes. Silence becomes comfortable. Sorry, I had to do that. All right, so here's a solo, and I'll play it 2 ways. I'll play it with vibrato, and I'll play it without vibrato, and you can, make a judge for yourself which one you like better, all right? See if you even recognize this solo, all right? All right? It's Sweet Child of Mine. And it's weird because I don't ever think about my vibrato, but when I'm playing now, I am super aware of it. So I feel like it's not how I'd normally play it, but, no more excuses. It's just how it is. Now I'm going to play it without vibrato and see what you think. Whoop, threw a little vibrato in there. I can't help it. But you can hear it's like, it's stiff, it's dead. Like I want every note I play to feel alive, right? And that's what vibrato does. So you got, or you got, and you can even vibrato at the top of a bend, which I love. And it kind of even makes it sound like it's going to feed back a little. It gives this weird, like, opening up of the note. All right, cool. So this and that, you know, you can see that, what was this one? That people would remember that more, right? Fact one is if you saw a cover band play and they played this, you'd be like, oh, that's technically correct. But if they're playing, that's just going to feel better to you. And you're going to be like, oh, man, I love this song. I love this solo. I love tonight. You know, that's where it goes always anyway. So that's the first fact is that people remember you. Sorry. People remember expression more than notes. All right. Fact number one. Fact number two, vibrato creates confidence without more speed. So many players think that confidence comes from technical ability. Often confidence comes from committing to one beautiful note. While vibrato is a technique, it's not what people think of as technique, and it's hardly ever practiced, I'm sure. You rush through your solos because you're afraid of holding notes, right? And you're hiding behind movement. You want to keep going, keep going. But strong players aren't afraid to let a note live. And I was thinking about a song last week, right? When I was talking about pedal tones and just holding a note, I think it was last week. I couldn't think of a tune. I had a tune in the back of my mind with just one long held note. And I remember what it is. I just thought I'd bring it up now because of this. And it is Hot Dog and a Shake by David Lee Roth and Steve Vai. The whole first half of the solo is just one note. And it's like long held out, and then it gets like some vibrato at it, and then he starts ripping it up. But that was just another little point. We're talking about how a note sounds different over different chords underneath it. That's a good one to check out if you haven't heard it. Hot Dog and a Shake. Anyway, so the more comfortable you become with sustaining notes, the less frantic your solos become. You know, especially if you're confident about what note you're hitting. Like if you're going to an A and you hit that third, a nice slow vibrato like that, then turn it fast. There's nothing worse than hitting the wrong note, like you hit an A and you hit this note. I mean, that has a vibe to it, that's for sure, but it's almost like a horror movie vibe because you're hitting that flat 9. So, you know, make sure you know what note you're hitting, but then just own it. Just hold that note and let it ring out. I think one of the best things I ever did to work on vibrato was a misunderstood lesson that someone said, or a quote where they were saying like, Carlos Santana could hold a note forever, you know, vibrato or whatever. And I was like, oh, vibrato is how you hold notes forever. So I would just sit there and try to just use the friction of the fret to keep a note going like this. Let me do it up here. Sounds like Purple Haze, right? Or something, one of those. So I practiced that. You got to kind of hold the tuned strings next to it. Keep it from ringing out. But I think that really helped my vibrato. It let me get the like I don't know if this is correct, but the physics of the string, right? The physical characteristics or the properties of it, and the right vibrato movement to make the string react sympathetically or whatever. I don't know if those are correct words, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Like the right velocity. Like you got fast vibrato, you got slow vibrato, right? But there's one that makes the string continue to ring out. So just a thought. Might be something to try practicing. But if that's not a practice, that's not one of those actionable tips from later. All right. Fact number 3, great vibrato is controlled, not random. This is a big one. Many players simply wiggle the string, right? Great vibrato has consistent rhythm, controlled width, intentional speed. It's almost like it is like a singer's controlled vocal vibrato, right? And I mean, there's a ton of different vibratos. I was thinking about it on the way here. I was out food shopping, but I was thinking, there's, different types of vibratos, and in different settings, in different styles of music, they work. Because I was thinking of my least favorite vibrato, right? And you hear it sometimes where people are like, have this, I don't know, I call it frantic vibrato, where it's just like, you'd be like, they just think you wiggle the string as fast as you can. Sounds very nervous to me. So I don't think that's what we're going for. Whoops, sorry. Hit the wrong button. Okay. But that's not what we're going for. But I was thinking, well, actually, in some vocal practices, worlds, that's the way to go. Like I think of Indian music, right? Like ragas, or even kind of like Native American music. Where it's like, hey, oh, hey, you know what I mean? That thing, or like in Indian, like Bollywood music. Like it's a thing. You can do something with it. But if that is like your go-to, like vibrato, you might want to work on it. Try slowing it down, get the width right, Like if I did that with this, that's not the sound you're going for. You would need a slower. You should almost not even notice the vibrato. If the vibrato is noticeable, in some cases it's too much, especially in that context. I think of maybe George Lynch. I always think of him, or Zach Wilde. They have a very wide vibrato. In some cases that's cool. Like a wild, that sort of stuff. So think about your vibrato and think about the speed, the width. What was the other one? The rhythm of it. How fast is it going? Which also like the speed. Sometimes your bends sound great. Other times they sound nervous or shaky. So the goal isn't more vibrato. It's consistent vibrato. And like what I did, and you can do multiple vibratos, right? Like I did here. Or what was I saying? At a bend, or like a slow vibrato into a faster one. That's cool. You know what I mean? That's almost emulating a rotary speaker from a Hammond, where they control it with their foot, the player, and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. That sort of control is cool, man. That's a dynamic you can play with to elicit emotion. So that's something to mess around with too. So yeah, you want to make sure you have consistent control of your vibrato and you understand the differences in effect that each speed, width, rhythm, brings to your playing and makes the listener feel. All right. Fact number four. Every great guitarist has their own vibrato. I've named a few already. Other ones you could think of are like B.B. King, right? His are more like, he does the thing, I don't know if I can do it sitting down. He did, where he kind of bounces the nut. You know, he's kind of like, that's what I think of when I think of B.B. King. He does it with his throat. That type of stuff. David Gilmour, you know, he's the one I think of when you bend the note and you vibrato at the top. Very good vibrato. Eric Clapton, man, he uses all of them. John Mayer, Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know. That's when you can, like, you hear one note and you're like, oh, that's Stevie Ray Vaughan, or that's David Gilmour. You know, it's almost like a fingerprint in a way, like your note choices and your speed, you can kind of identify people, especially note choices. You're like, oh, that's something that so-and-so does. That's a Steve Vai thing. You know, he's sliding all over and playing these big leaps or something. You go, oh, that's Steve Vai, or someone trying to copy Steve Vai. Polyphia, right? All that stuff that they do. That's note choices. But I feel like vibrato and bends, that's where your real personality comes through. And I don't want to say quality of your sound as a player, like your level or whatever, like the quality of your fabric or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. If you don't have a good vibrato, that doesn't mean you're a bad player. I'm just saying this is something to work on, and it classes up your playing is what I'm saying, maybe. Yeah, or not. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. But yeah, without seeing those players that I just mentioned, you can still identify after hearing one note. So yeah, it's about like discovering your own voice. All right. You can listen to them, copy them, but just be yourself. Right. And the last fact number 5, vibrato connects your entire vocabulary. Right. Like, you know, all the scales, you know, the pentatonics, you know, the 7-note scales. But without vibrato, none of that is worth anything, right? It can just sound like notes, like we saw with that Sweet Child of Mine thing. You know, everything sounds disconnected. Here's one note going into another note, you know, like, or one phrase. So you have a lick, and then if I add a little vibrato, because you have you have that underlying rhythm going along with what you're playing. And I guess if I was playing it faster, let's see, would I naturally speed up the vibrato? Yes, I would. You know, like you need that sort of the bounce with the rhythm. So if you're playing or you're playing there is a glass bottom which you can't get through. Yeah. It's that rhythm that makes the string react. That's like the bottom. That's as slow as I would go. I could go faster depending on the effect I want, but I think that's the slowest you can go. And I'm just kind of figuring this out now as I'm talking to you, as I do with a lot of stuff. When I start, you just play. And then when you start thinking about it and analyzing, you go, oh, it's more probably like this. Maybe it's not, maybe tomorrow I'll change my mind. But for today, I think there's a certain level of slowness you can go with vibrato before it all falls apart. All right, so there was 5 facts about vibrato. And next we're going to look at 5 actionable tips you can use to practice vibrato and get your vibrato sounding like you. Like start working into your practice routine and sound great. But first, the obligatory plug for the Pentatonic Way. It's a system I put together that I love, and it changed my life. But what I did was create a pentatonic personality quiz. So here's my read. One thing that I've learned from working with so many intermediate players is that the biggest obstacle usually isn't talent. It's that everyone gets stuck for different reasons. And that's exactly why I created the free Pentatonic Way personality quiz. It only takes a couple minutes, but it'll help you identify your unique guitar personality, the habits you might be slowing your progress, and where your practice can have the biggest impact. So afterwards, you'll also receive the free 3-lesson email course that's tailored to help you move past those roadblocks with simple, practical exercises. If you're curious, you can check it out at pentatonicway.com/personality. All right, thank you. Back to the lesson or the podcast or whatever you want to call this. Back to chatting with you. All right, here's tip number 1 on vibrato. Spend 5 minutes on one note, right? Forget scales, forget anything. Just choose one note and see how many different emotions you can create using only vibrato. All right? So let me see. I don't even know if you should do this with the backing track. I think just by yourself, Maybe you could use one note. My advice, too, is also just to do that thing I was doing. Like, try to take one note and work the vibrato. And when you're vibratoing, I don't know if that's a real word, but say you're doing it with your ring finger, right? You're holding your note with the ring finger. I'm holding the 14th fret on the G string, if you're listening along. And you have these 2 other fingers behind you. I would never vibrato with just a lone finger or bend. You always back them up with his buddies, push them right up against it. And maybe I would do 2 fingers and put my my pointer finger over the strings to mute it. So really, I'm just hitting that note. But you use your knuckle here, the joint on your pointer finger, where it connects to your hand. That can be like your fulcrum. So that's your point of contact, and you're just kind of using that like this. When you get lower down, you can do you're kind of bouncing the string. But practice different things like that. Really try to get that note ringing out. It's good if you have some gain going on. See how long you can get that going. If you can do that for 5 minutes, oh my gosh. Carlos Santana ain't got nothing on you. All right, I'm not going to do that for the rest of the podcast, but that's the idea. And then, try other things. Try other fingers. Try other slower. Like if it goes too slow, it almost just sounds like a couple bends. So it has to be fast enough that it sounds like something, And then try wide bends, like erratic bends. See if you can make it sound wild, like too wild, like. Real subtle bends. So they're not very wide. Yeah, that's the idea. Tip number 2, copy vocalists, right? Start to listen to great singers and notice when they do vibrato. Think of like Adele or something. She just popped in my head, but you know, man, she has a great vibrato. And, or whoever, Peter Gabriel, just whoever your favorite singers are, they're probably your favorite for a reason, you know? So really like listen to them and hear their vibratos. Where do they put it? You know, how long do they hold it? A lot of times you don't want to throw your vibrato in right away on a held note. You want to hold the note and then do the vibrato. You know, you want to go, not, then you sound a little, it sounds different. So you get the note and then the vibrato. That type of thing. You know, so start listening to singers, notice how they hold notes, and try to imitate that feeling on a guitar if you can. So this will develop your musical vibrato instead of like a mechanical vibrato. Like we practiced in tip 1 was very mechanical. You're trying to see what you can do with your hand to elicit these sounds. But this is like, all right, maybe put on a record and try to emulate, copy them, you know, using the stuff you learned in tip 1. Tip 3 should be actually, I should have made this tip 5, right? But to record yourself. Your vibrato feels very different than it sounds, right? So recording yourself, practicing these things is going to reveal uneven rhythm. If you're like, you know, but at the same time, I know I say this all the time, but that's a dynamic you can do too. It sounds different. It sounds like a random number generator. If that's the effect you're going for, I think that's cool. But if you record it, you got to be able to hear that and decide if that's what you want to do. Inconsistent with, or if the notes die too quickly, right? If you're not hitting that optimum speed to create that friction between the string and the fret wire. So 1 minute of recordings worth 10 minutes of guessing. I love that. I think that applies to any time you record yourself, not just about vibrato, but it's such an opportunity we have to have a phone, a little recorder in our pocket, you know, be able to pop it up, record ourselves, listen back. Man, you get so much out of that. Such an opportunity, you know? So take advantage of it. All right. Tip number 4, practice different speeds. You know, experiment with slow vibrato, medium vibrato, and fast vibrato. Learn to choose the right one instead of always using the same speed. All right? I have a little backing track here. I think I'm going to try it out. All right. It's like bluesy. It's in D minor. So I'll practice some slow vibratos. Let me try some medium vibratos. All right, now try some fast vibratos. Got a dead note there. Yeah. All right, let's go. So yeah, you can see that the fast ones did not work. The slow and medium ones worked, and maybe the slow one works at first, and then you switch up to the medium so it gets fast, a little more exciting for the listener. Pretty cool. So yeah, mess around with all of that. Everything in the guitar is a dynamic that you can play with, right? You can be sloppy, you can be, tight, precise. You can have slow vibrato, you can have fast vibrato. You can sound like your vibrato is very under control, or you can sound like it's wild and just too crazy, and it's going to burst out of the song and break your strings and catch you on fire. That's something you can do with sound. Anyway, maybe not. Tip number 5, finish every practice session with expression. All right, so instead of ending practice after scales, play over a backing track for like 5 minutes, 1 minute, whatever you have, focusing only on bends, vibrato, and sustain. No flashy licks allowed. Your goal is to make every note count, just like I was doing there. I wasn't like speeding all over the place, You just focus on bends, on vibrato, and just being chill. If you do some fast stuff, you need to punish yourself. You need to whip yourself or something. I'm gonna hold you to that. Of course I'm not. Just have fun with it. Explore those notes. Get your feels on, and see what happens. And if you record that, even better, because you can listen back and see what worked and what didn't work. Because often it's not the same things you think in the moment. You're like, "Ooh, that worked great," and then you listen back and you're like, "No, it didn't. It didn't do what I thought it did." But the opposite is true too. You're like, I'm really biting it right now." You listen back and you're like, "No, that was the best stuff I played." So the recording doesn't lie. So yeah, there's 5 actionable tips that will help you work some vibrato into your playing. And yeah, I guess I hope today was good. Today's big idea was simple. Your scales might get you around the fretboard, but your vibrato tells people who you are. If you've been feeling stuck lately, remember this. You don't always need more information, right? Sometimes you simply need to bring more life to the information that you already have. Look at it in a different way, right? Try different things with it. So this week, don't worry about learning another scale or another lick or another song. Just see how much emotion you can create from just one note. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments of what happens. Who's your favorite guitarist when it comes to vibrato? Tell me that. I'd love to hear that. And what's the one thing you're going to try after listening to today's episode? If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you follow the show, subscribe to the channel, and share it with another guitarist who's trying to find their own voice on the instrument. And until next time, keep it simple. All right, keep it musical. And remember, the goal is not to play more notes, is to make every note sound more like you. All right? All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.